Hello fellow preppers. We are looking at yarrow today so we can distinguish it from wild carrots and poison hemlock. Both are lookalikes. Like wild carrots, yarrow is typically found in a full sun area, can grow in hard or rocky soil. You often see it along the roadside, in hay fields and horse pastures, and not around waterways and partial shade areas like you do hemlock. But just because you spot it in an area where it's supposed to grow, don't assume that it's not hemlock. Doing so could get you dead in 1 to 3 hours. There is no antidote for hemlock. This bunching of flowers here, you can see on the head, there is no reddish or purple flower offset from the center like you would see in wild carrots. That's one way to identify yarrow. Wild carrots and yarrow both used medicinally and are edible and full of nutrients, but they are used in different ways and have to be prepared in different ways and come with different warning cautions. Unlike wild carrots, yarrow doesn't seem to have a problem interaction with anybody who's on blood pressure medicine, nor could it cause induced labor or cause an abortion like wild carrots, though it still is not recommended for pregnant or nursing women. And if you turn the flower upside down, you can see there's no singular umbrella shape like there is on a wild carrot, though it does come down in a shape that hooves. Each little section of flowers here can be pulled apart separately. That is more similar to poison hemlock, but the poison hemlock flowers, there's only one flower on each stem instead of a grouping. But the flowers and the seeds have a bit of weight to them, as you can see. And you can use the flowers in different herbal remedies and recipes. And if you look at the stem, there is no purple splotching like on poison hemlock, nor are there any white whiskers on it like you would on wild carrots. It's just a solid green stem. And the leaves, try to get a close-up, are feathery, like the feathers that would be on the end of a bow, or an arrow, excuse me, in kind of a fern-like shape. This is different from wild carrots and much more similar to hemlock. You need to make sure you absolutely know what you are harvesting from the wild before you use it, or something that was going to be part of your survival medicine or prep or apothecary could end up killing you. So make sure you always know what you are harvesting. The three plants are similar, but if you know what you're looking for, and I will include a picture of poison hemlock in this article and one of wild carrots, as long as you familiarize yourself, you should be able to distinguish against them, at least when the flowers are in bloom. It can be a little bit more difficult when the flowers haven't bloomed yet and you're dealing with a young plant. Hello once again, fellow preppers. I've stepped into an area where there's shade. Yes, I'm cheating. I love the sun. I love summer. It is awesome to be able to go on a hike and work on your suntan while you're getting paid for work. It makes it be a day that you love work. But 95 degrees and like 150% humidity, it's getting to me a little bit. So I went to look for some other wild things I could forage on our property and came across this patch here, and I wanted to show it to you because, as I mentioned, poison hemlock tends to grow into shady or partial shady areas, and both wild carrots and yarrow tend to grow in full sun in a field or pasture. But here I am on the edge of the woods where you would typically find poison hemlock if there's going to be an infestation of it, and there's absolutely none. The reason being is there's no water in this particular area, more likely than not. But in this shady patch where you'd be on the lookout for poison hemlock, actually, I think I see some wild parsnips back there, which is also very poisonous. I do have a nice big wild carrot. Notice the purple dot in the middle. This particular wild carrot, or Queen Anne's lace, is fanned out a lot more than they normally are. I think because it's trying to reach the sun, and that gives it more of a look of the poison hemlock because the flowers are out more distinctively. But it does have the purple or red flower offset from the center and has a hairy stem with no purple blotching. This is most definitely wild carrot and not poison hemlock. It's just growing somewhere that you really not expect it to be. And I can scan around here a little bit. At the beginning, still rocky soil, but not in the sun, is some yarrow. And there's more new yarrow coming on down there. It looks a little bit more feathery. I'll show you that in a minute. And there's a nice big patch of yarrow intermingled with some oxeye daisies and some English daisies, which sometimes from a distance also get mistaken for poison hemlock, but if you look up closely, you can tell that it's a daisy-style flower with a big yellow dot in the middle. But here is the young yarrow, And it tends to have a look that's a bit more like the poison hemlock than it does when it's more mature, because the flowers are split up more and the feathers have not completely grown. And if you look on the back of it, you can see where they're starting to get a little bit more hard and round, looking more like a mature yellow, a mature yarrow. And that would help you have some guidance. Now, if you looked at this plant and you thought there's no purple splotching and there's no hair, it's definitely not a wild carrot, no purple splotching, so you say this is definitely not poison hemlock. But sometimes the purple splotching comes on later. And if the difference in the leaves and the way the flowers look now give you the least half second of pause, then you just walk on by it, don't sniff it, don't touch it, and surely do not dig it up by the root. That could be a fatal mistake. There's some more wild carrot over there. This is a whole area where you would not think to find yarrow wild carrot, which in a survival situation, if you are sticking to the woods to avoid detection, you may be able to find some of these wild edibles and medicinals, even in spots where you didn't think they would grow.